What's usually your main aim when you undertake research projects with knowledge exchange building?
Well, first of all, I should say that I have, over the last 15-20 years, been working mainly directly with practitioners who are generating new forms of work. And so I'm working with adults, and I think that does make a difference. I try and build into all research projects in different ways moments of knowledge exchange that are important as the project proceeds. My aims for doing that are, one, I think is ethically appropriate if I'm finding out about things that are happening, and those ideas that I'm beginning to see in my research can actually feed back into practice quickly so people can work with them. I think that's ethically appropriate. But also, it allows me to get some kind of quick validity check, some kind of face validity check at least, on the interim analyses that I'm undertaking. And then I usually arrange it so that I present some kind of stimulus paper or a couple of statements or some kind of artifact, and people are stimulated into discussing as a group, so different informants that I may have met separately come together as a group, and I will gather a next round of data. So I have one kind of more altruistic aim and then two quite selfish researching aims for doing that kind of work.
Right, thanks. What were the main knowledge exchange successes and how did you judge success?
Okay, because I'm interested in how practice develops in my research and what new concepts have been brought into play in practice, it's really very important that I create a kind of architecture in the research project that allows some kind of reciprocity in the design. And so knowledge exchange is really important for me if I'm going to understand how and why practitioners are working in a particular way they are. So I'm not too distant from the field, I'm actually in the field, I'm trying not to disturb the field, and I very much depend on them coming out of the field in order to talk to me about what they're doing, as well as my observing what they're doing, obviously. How do I know whether I'm successful in doing that? Well, if the projects manage to capture conceptually the new resources, tools, ideas that people are using in these new practices, and the way in which we are able to represent them to the practitioners, make sense for the practitioners, then I know it's been successful. Beyond that, one has to think about how one then tests those concepts in other settings to see how robust they are. So there's also a kind of broader notion of a wider generalizability of these ideas. But they wouldn't happen, I wouldn't get access to them, I don't think, if I hadn't got the kind of architecture that allows for those kinds of reciprocal conversations between us as researchers and the practitioners who are actually doing the new work.
What difficulties did you encounter and how did you deal with them?
I mean, the first thing you have to do when you're doing this kind of work is make it really clear to the practitioners that you're not coming in as a kind of white-coated scientist with a clipboard and just looking at what they're doing, and that actually you are going to be quite demanding of them and their time. So you need to be very clear that you are going to build in time for these meetings. I often find that particularly when I'm doing work in schools, I'm planning with senior people in the schools when I'll do the feedback sessions in ways that will feed into the rhythm of the school year, for example. And I'll do that months and months and months ahead. And so I have learnt not to shy away and say, hey, this won't be disruptive. It will be disruptive for the field in which you're doing the research. But on the other hand, I think the payoff is so strong, and again, project after project, the practitioners we've been working with have found it to be so. So, yeah, you need to be terribly well organised, and you need to be very honest, and then it works.
Right, thank you. What advice would you give someone who's about to embark on a knowledge exchange project?
Plan for it, most certainly, and recognise also in how you write your objectives, particularly if you're going for external funding, the way in which you write your objectives for your research project have sufficient flexibility within them to allow you to actually follow what comes out of the field. So you have to have a particular kind of research design, as well as being able to plan for getting feedback from the field and responding to that feedback.
Thank you. Thanks very much.